Almost 2,000 years ago, a Roman philosopher sat down and wrote a letter that would expose the greatest lie humanity has ever told itself. The lie that life is short. Seneca didn't just disagree, he was furious. Life is long enough if you know how to use it. That was his verdict, and when you hear what he actually wrote, you'll realize he wasn't talking about ancient Romans. He was talking about you, right now, today. Scrolling through your phone, postponing your dreams, trading your hours for things that will mean nothing on your deathbed. Wasted years gone forever. Seneca's essay, written in 49 AD, reads like it was drafted this morning by someone who watched you live your entire last week. And the uncomfortable truth is this: you don't have a time problem, you have a waste problem, as Seneca himself declared. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. What you're about to hear will make you question every single choice you made today, and by the end, you'll never look at your calendar the same way again. The stolen hours. Imagine someone walked into your house and stole your furniture. You'd call the police, you'd fight back, you'd be outraged. Now imagine someone steals an hour of your life, a meaningless meeting, a toxic conversation, an evening lost to mindless scrolling. What do? Nothing, absolutely nothing. You let them take it and you smile while they do it. Seneca saw this pattern everywhere in Rome. Wealthy senators guarding their gold with armed soldiers, but handing over their afternoons to anyone who asked. Powerful men who would go to war over a piece of land but surrender entire years to flattery, gossip, and pointless ambition. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Think about your own week. How many hours did you spend on things that genuinely mattered to you? How many were stolen by obligations you never chose, conversations you didn't need, entertainment that left you emptier than before? You are guarding everything except the one thing that actually matters. Seneca wasn't being poetic, he was issuing a warning, and that warning leads us to something even more disturbing about how we choose to live. Busy doing nothing. Here's the trap almost everyone falls into. You fill every hour of your day, you're always busy, always moving, always doing something. And at the end of the year, you look back and realize you accomplished nothing that actually matters to you. Nothing. Seneca had a word for this kind of person. He called them the preoccupied, not the lazy, the busy, the ones who are so consumed by trivial activities that they never get around to actually living. Busy but empty. He watched Roman aristocrats spend decades climbing social ladders, organizing banquets, managing other people's affairs. They were exhausted, they were important, and they were completely lost. They are not at leisure, whose pleasures involve a great deal of bustle. Does that sound familiar? The packed schedule that somehow leaves you feeling hollow. The productivity that produces nothing meaningful. The busyness that masks the terrifying question you're avoiding: what should I actually be doing with my life? If Seneca's wisdom is resonating with something deep inside you right now, hit like and subscribe to unlock more treasures from the vault. Because what comes next might change how you spend your time forever. Seneca didn't just diagnose the disease of busyness. He uncovered something far more dangerous lurking beneath it. The postponed life. There's a phrase you've probably said 100 times: I'll do it later. I'll start next month. I'll get to it when things calm down. You are postponing life while life is slipping away. Seneca identified this as the deadliest habit of all. Not wasting time on bad things, but deferring the good things to a future that may never arrive. The retired man who finally has time to travel but no longer has the health. The mother who waited until the children left to pursue her dream, only to discover the dream had died first. The ambitious worker saving their happiness for retirement, while retirement keeps receding like a mirage. As Seneca wrote with devastating clarity, you act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. You fear death like it could come any day, but you plan your life as though you have infinite tomorrows. That's not optimism, that's delusion. Tomorrow is not promised. And this delusion feeds directly into the next trap Seneca warned us about, one that might hit even closer to home. Living for others. How much of your life is actually yours, not your job's, not your family's expectations, not society's script? Yours. Seneca forced his readers to confront this question, and the answer terrified them. Most people have never lived a single day for themselves. He described men who spent their entire lives serving others, not out of love or duty, but out of habit, out of fear, out of the desperate need to feel needed. They managed estates for ungrateful masters. They spent decades in political careers they never wanted. They lived the life that was expected of them and called it success. How late it is to begin to live just when we must cease to live. Think about your own choices. How many of them were truly yours? The career you chose, was it your passion or your parents' approval? The life you are living might not be your life at all. The relationships you maintain, are they nourishing or draining? The goals you chase, did you choose them or inherit them? Whose life are you living? Seneca wasn't telling you to abandon responsibility. He was asking you to examine whether you've ever truly claimed ownership of your own existence. And this brings us to something Seneca considered the ultimate waste of human time. Pleasure's prison. Rome was drowning in luxury, feasts that lasted days, wine that flowed like rivers, entertainment designed to numb the mind, and Seneca watched it all with horror, not because pleasure is evil, but because it had become a prison. Enslaved. The wealthy Romans didn't enjoy their pleasures, they needed them. They couldn't sit alone in a room for 5 minutes without reaching for something to fill the silence. Sound familiar? Today it's not Roman banquets, it's Netflix binges, social media scrolling, endless podcasts playing in the background of a life you're not paying attention to. No one sets a value on time, all use it lavishly as if it cost nothing. Seneca argued that true pleasure comes from philosophy, from reflection, from understanding yourself and the world, not from consumption. Consume less, think more. The man who spends his evening reading Seneca gains something permanent. The man who spends it scrolling gains nothing and loses an evening he will never get back. Every distraction is a small death you choose willingly. But Seneca's philosophy wasn't just about cutting things out. He had a radical proposal for what you should put in their place. The present moment. Most people live in 3 times at once, and none of them is now. They dwell in regret about the past, they worry about the future. And the present, the only time that actually exists, slips through their fingers like water. Past, present, future. Seneca understood this with surgical precision. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. Think about your morning today. Were you present, or were you already at work in your mind, rehearsing conversations that haven't happened, stressing about problems that might never exist? The only moment you truly own is the one happening right now. Seneca taught that the wise person gathers all their time into the present. They don't mourn yesterday or fear tomorrow. They live fully in each hour, extracting every drop of meaning from every experience. This isn't mindfulness as a trend. This is mindfulness as survival. Because every moment you spend lost in the past or anxious about the future is a moment you've donated to non-existence. You are alive right now, but are you actually living? And Seneca had one more lesson about time that might be the most important of all, one about the people who think they have it all figured out. Death as teacher. The Romans had a practice. When a general returned from victory, parading through Rome in glory, a servant would stand behind him whispering the same words over and over. Remember, you are mortal. Memento mori, remember death. Most people think this is morbid. Seneca thought it was the most liberating practice a human being could adopt. Because when you remember that you will die, everything changes. The petty argument with your neighbor dissolves. The obsession with status evaporates. The fear of judgment becomes laughable. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Seneca practiced this daily. Every evening he reviewed his day as if it were his last, not with anxiety but with gratitude. Did I waste this day? Did I live it fully? Did I love the people I claim to love? Live as if today matters. He didn't fear death, he feared never having truly lived, and there's a profound difference between those two fears. Death is not the opposite of life, but the mirror that reveals its true value. But knowing about death intellectually and actually letting it transform your daily choices are two very different things. And that leads us to the hardest lesson Seneca ever taught. Seneca's mirror. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Seneca wasn't writing to the foolish. He wasn't writing to the ignorant. He was writing to people exactly like you, educated, aware, intelligent enough to know better and still wasting their time anyway. That's the real sting of this essay. You already know everything Seneca is saying. You know you spend too much time on things that don't matter. You know you're postponing the things that do. You know that one day this will all be over, and still you scroll. Still you postpone. Still you fill your days with noise instead of meaning. You have been living as if destined to live forever. Seneca holds up a mirror, and what stares back is not a stranger. It's you, every excuse you've made, every tomorrow you've promised yourself, every evening you've surrendered to something meaningless. No more excuses. The question is not whether you know the truth, but whether you will act on it. But here's the thing about mirrors. Once you've seen your reflection clearly, you have a choice. Keep looking away or change what you see. And Seneca, even 2,000 years later, is still waiting for your answer. So here we are, 2,000 years after Seneca dipped his pen in ink and wrote these words, and nothing has changed. The distractions are different. The excuses sound more sophisticated, but the fundamental problem is identical. We are not given a short life, we make it short. You have been given enough time, enough hours, enough days. The question was never how much time you have. It was always about what you do with the time you've been given. Reclaim your time now. Seneca wrote this essay for his friend Paulinus, but across the centuries, across languages and empires and revolutions, he was really writing it for you, for this exact moment, for the choice you're about to make when this video ends. Will you go back to scrolling? Will you fill the next hour with noise? Or will you, for the first time in perhaps a very long time, sit with yourself and ask the only question that matters? What do I actually want to do with the time I have left? Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. If you made it this far, comment Vita Brevis to prove you're ready to stop wasting the only time you have. The wisdom of the ages is yours. Use it well. If this opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe for more. The vault has more wisdom waiting.